Why, hello there. Welcome to River Plays Pokemon Red Nuzlocke. So we just barely got our wonderful Bulbasaur and returned back just to find that they needed us to come back to this town, which they could have done in the first place. I don't know why he needed us here. Though I have an idea here. I think the reason at the beginning that Professor Oak asked you what his grandson's name is that he simply doesn't know how to pronounce it. It's like, oh, my grandson has this new age name and I don't know how it is. But you other kid, I won't feel quite as embarrassed if I ask you and make sure that you know what it is. So, do we have to buy the Pokeballs? How does this work? I hold them in high regard. Okay. Cool, I guess. I'm pretty sure we do not have Pokeballs at the moment. Oh yeah, and our items are gonna be really struggling this time around, because there's a lot of interesting things about this game that you wouldn't necessarily think about. One is you only have 20 item slots. That includes your key items. So as we go further and further through the game, there's less items that we can hold. Which kind of sucks. Still can't catch you, Rattata. And just to let you all know, one of the Nuzlocke rules is that once I have Pokeballs and am able to catch things, that's when all the rules start going into effect. As we go up to the town and we'll see if people give us Pokeballs. If they're not, I guess I'll have to look that up, because I thought Oak usually gave you Pokeballs. I don't know. I have not played Pokemon Red, so I'm doing this about as unsure as the rest of you are at this point. Might actually be that guy. So we do have money for Pokeballs if we need to. But I have an idea of where we need to go. So just this old man that was passed out in the middle of the road for some reason that's not clear. Who just falls asleep in like the middle of the road? No, I'm not in a hurry. Give me Pokeballs. I haven't caught a Pokemon before, and if someone's doing this for the first time, they might not know either, so that's probably a good thing to just test it out. So Weedle, where did you find the Pokemon at, is my question. Because that's 50 Pokeballs! Man, you're loaded! Why are you buying Pokeballs? That's pretty absurd. Like, that is really unnecessary. Okay, do you... Yeah, we have to go through Viridian Forest, so I guess the way you get Pokeballs is you buy them? Interesting. It's kind of a backwards way of doing this. We're gonna have to buy at least... buy 8. Okay. Because we're gonna need... You can't buy potions? That's... We're gonna have to get a few antidotes because damn things in the forest like to do us a frighten and then a couple paralyze heals. That should be sufficient, but I am not 100% sure if this is going to be even good for what we're doing. Nope. Pokeballs. Potions are sold out. What sort of mart is this? Well, as long as we're on the topic, we should go over what sort of rules are being used in my Nuzlocke versus other Nuzlockes. Well, after we catch this next Pokemon, that should happen pretty quickly. But obviously, first Pokemon on the route after you have Pokeballs, you have to name it, and then the more devastating role, if your Pokemon faints, it's dead. So we almost lost the Nuzlocke on the first run. It's a Pidgey, which apparently I was being told by Sarasi that the reason these sprites look so strange is that the anime hadn't come out to, you know, make these look decent, so they just kind of guessed and kind of put the designs together. Pidgey's our first, not surprised? Yes, we're going to give it a nickname. So, one of the things I've decided for nicknames is since there is no gender, I'm going to flip a coin. If it's heads, it's going to be a masculine name. If it's tails, it's going to be a feminine name. So let's see what it lands on. It is heads. So we're going to have another masculine name. And this time it is going to be... That's way too long. Haldor. Sure, let's name it Haldor. That should be long enough. There's actually a considerable amount of letters, which for some reason they gave a large number of letters, and the reason you can't have multiple save files on any Pokemon game is because they wanted to make it so you can nickname every one of the 151 Pokemon, and then have them in your box, which I think is kind of absurd, but, you know, things happen. Now, while I would love to just go and run into areas, we might be having some battles coming up soon that we want to make sure that we have Haldor ready for, so... Yeah, I don't think you're taking on this, Rattata. We're swapping. I think, isn't Pokemon usually here? And Bag's usually there. They mix it up for this generation. So that's going to take a second to get used to. Fred. I just see kind of Fred as like a happy-go-lucky Pokemon that's just like, I killed a thing! Did I do good? Yes, Fred. You're doing a decent job of killing a Rattata. Except for now you're taking 3 hits, which is really disappointing, which means this is going to take forever. But, you know, you can't get mad at Fred. Wow, Rattata appeared again. I really don't like that they don't have the experience bar, because you really have no idea. You really don't have any clue how much experience you have, so you just have to look it up individually, which is very frustrating. That should be over half, so we should have a better chance of, you know, getting to the things that we need to. So now that we've caught our Pokemon, let's go over the rest of the rules. For this, I'm not going to count event Pokemon as being ones in the route, so like in Celadon City where you get the Eevee, that's not going to count, but I will have to decide if I want something from the game corner or fishing. There was also the question of, if I'm doing a Nuzlocke that is all about using weak Pokemon, why don't I just use like 6 Magikarp? And I think that's a rather simple answer, and it's that's boring. No one wants to see me just try to grind along with a whole bunch of Magikarps using Struggle. That seems like an incredibly boring Nuzlocke, and Nuzlocks are good in that they show Poke diversity that you don't usually do. Like what we're using here with our good old friend Bulbasaur. So we're going to be trying to use the Pokemon that people don't use, and it would also be incredibly difficult to do just a whole bunch of weak Pokemon. I might even consider not evolving some Pokemon, but that will depend largely on if things are getting a little too overpowered and I feel like I need to, you know, take a step back a little bit. And one of the other rules is that if there are people who are willing to trade Pokemon, if it has an okay nickname, if the nickname is, you know, kind of decent, we'll allow it in our party. If it doesn't, then it's not going to make the cut. You know, grinding is one of those things that's incredibly peaceful, but it does take a quite long time, especially with your Pidgey that's under level. And one thing that's also kind of interesting to talk about is that for those who are more into Pokemon, you will know that there is something called effort value points in some games, which is if you faint enough Pokemon, your Pokemon then gains a strong part in some stats. That doesn't exist in the first game. Rather, you have a different stat that's called DV. I forgot what it stands for, it's like distribution value or something. Haldor's level 3. Thank God. And so it increases to like some absurd stat like 65,000. And proteins and irons and all those vitamins still have a very large effect, but they just don't have the same sort of like idea of things going for. There doesn't appear to be anything that are called IVs, which are innate stats that prove one Pokemon is just better than another even before EVs happen. And of course there's no natures, there's no abilities, so when you really catch a Pokemon, it's about as the same as another Pokemon, which I think really is one thing that's, you know, really good about Pokemon Red, because in later generations, when you have your starter and you try to battle with it, it's usually garbage because it has the wrong effort value points or it has the wrong nature and it's not optimal. But in this one, all of that really matters is that your Pokemon has battled at all. Even at level 100, they will still gain these distribution value points, which I think is a huge bonus. Let's see if Haldor can take on the enemy. That's a lot. And especially with how common crits are, I don't know if we want to risk that. Especially from these faster Pokemon. Fred. Just a nice lovely smile. Just going about its day. It's also really strange that they made Gust a normal type move in Gen 2 that gets changed, but as I discussed last time, no, it's just a regular normal type move. Fred is level 9, thank God. It's not going to learn any decent moves, because nobody learns moves at this stage. We'll probably do this for a little bit, and then we'll probably go to another route to go catch some Pokemon. I don't know if you stand a chance against a Rattata, let's see. They're all doing 5 damage, and you're not doing enough damage to make me feel comfortable, so... Another thing for those viewers that may have only watched the more recent Pokemon games is that for some reason they don't make certain types, like Tackle will always be a physical move, but not because it should be obviously a physical move, but because it's a normal type. All normal types are physical moves. Like grass types are special moves. Even ones that should be physical, like possibly Razor Leaf. It turns into really weird situations where you'll have Pokemon that have really good physical attack, like Flareon, that's an utterly useless Pokemon because Fire is a special move. So it just leaves it to being just kind of a disappointment all across the board. If you look at the grass, it kind of looks like ducks. And I'm assuming because this is Pokemon Red that everything seems red, and Pokemon Blue everything does seem to be way more blue. But it's interesting to make that color because I think blue's a little bit more pleasing to the eye. That's what a crit did. In this game, crits are 2 times, and it got a crit. Damn. Yeah, we are just not doing damage, but... Looks like you might actually be able to kill this Rattata on your own. I didn't expect that. Level 4. I think you might... You got a lot of speed, you got a decent stats except for that special. And we're gonna have some fun with the special stat. Because when you increase anything on the special stat increases your special attack and your special defense. If we were to get a Slowbro, for instance, it's one of the strongest ones to use Amnesia, which is a move that doubles your special stat. Yeah, it doubles your special attack instead of doing the regular 50%. So it's probably a decent thing to talk about what it means to boost stats. There's multiple games like the Tail Whip that we just saw, where Tail Whip lowers your defense by 1 stage. Lowering by 1 stage means it's 66%. Or if you're increasing a stage, it means it increases by 50%. Down 2 stages means that you're down 50%. It's a really interesting system how they decide to do it. And it goes like regardless of level. Yeah, just look, critical hits everywhere. Like, this is the most absurd thing about this game. It's just the constant critical hits, so we will constantly have to be on our guard. There we go, level 5. Sand attack. I'm sure that will be so useful. So useful. But I am pleasantly surprised with how quickly we are leveling so far. Because we do have some things coming up. How much is that going to do? Yeah, in a lot of future gens, Gust is a special move and really sucks on Pidgey because Pidgey does not have really good special attack when those are divided into special attack and special defense. But, you know, it eventually gets there. It's interesting that a lot of Pokemon are based off of things that are rather close to like the source material, like Rattatas, Pidgeys, and Caterpie, and then you just have like random rocks that come alive. Like there just seems to be just this really weird disconnect of we want some things to be, you know, somewhat realistic and look like their source material, but a lot of other things we don't really care. So many times in the Pokemon Center. Luckily, it looks like our Pidgey is taking a decent chance, and there's another route so that we can go catch things at, so it's probably a decent thing to go do that. If memory serves correctly. There's a tree that magically reappears every time we cut it, even though it's not clear why it does so, but it does anyway. Let's see, what do we catch in the grass? First thing, let's see what we got. Okay, that's pretty good. But the thing is, unfortunately, in this run, Nidoran's gonna become a decent Pokemon. We can't have decent Pokemon. I mean, I'm even considering whether we should even have Pidgeot in the party. Okay, I don't know if we can weaken it in one hit, but Gust shouldn't kill it. It's 40 power, this thing should be able to take it. Yep. But the one thing, well, actually we don't really need to worry about Brock, because we do have our lovely smiling Fred, always just, you know, having the greatest of times. Give a nickname to Nidoran. Well, we know Nidoran is male in this instance, so we're gonna choose another name, and the name that will be given... Okay, I'm pretty down with this. It's Mateus. Kind of unique name that you don't see, but sounds just incredibly elegant. I'm a big fan of. So we're gonna... Mateus is gonna be in the party. We're gonna probably, you know, grind just a little bit and see where it takes us. I think we know that Mateus learns, God, every time. That is one of the worst things about this. If you're not pushing the X button constantly, or the B button, you will constantly go over and over into that goddamn Pokemon Center. You gotta think that they're just getting bored. They're just like, you just healed. Why are you coming back here? But I have to do my job, so I'm just gonna continually, you know, do what I have to do, you know? And Roger, you gotta imagine that he's just, like, I guess I have to find another Pokemon, and I have to do this. I feel like he doesn't really want to be on this journey, but he's kind of thrown on it anyway, so he doesn't have a huge, like, a lot of say. But he doesn't really have anything better to do. He's like, I guess I could play video games. Okay, so Mateus has apparently shit attack. So I'm gonna go back to Haldor real quick. Do something that can actually kill this Rattata. I'd imagine that Roger's mom was always going on about, you'll be the greatest Pokemon trainer, and he's sitting there rolling his eyes while on his phone or his DS or whatever. It's just like, why would I want to do that? That's boring. That means I have to go outside. But he was kind of just thrown out of the house and was given Pokemon. It's just like, oh, you have to go there because you have to become a Pokemon trainer. And so, that's pretty much how it goes. Now, Mateus, are you the stronger Nidoran? Did we make a good choice? Oh god, this is gonna be... You're only doing 3 damage apiece. You have exactly the same speed stats, so we're going to switch back to Haldor real quick. Because I'm confident that this little Nidoran that's doing no damage is not going to harm us. Well, I wonder what Leer is. Is it just like some just random flash that just knocks the Pokemon off its guard? Just like... I don't... It doesn't even make it clear what that is. Well, that's all we're going to be doing for this time. I'll do a little bit of grinding to get our team up. But, thank you all for watching, and if you gifted me a like, a comment, and if you're feeling up to it, subscribe, I would honestly appreciate it. Thank you. Keep on catching those Pokemon.